This painting is a commission. Now it's a painting, or it's a scene that I've painted before, but it's just occurred to me that I haven't actually shown you before how I'm going to do an area like this. So what we have is we have the background trees. Now you've seen me paint background trees many times, and the technique is always the same. The brush strokes are always the same size. Now painting a tree that is in the foreground like this is a little bit different. The leaves on this tree are bigger, so we're going to need to use a different technique, and I'm going to show you now how I do that. So what we have here is the blocking, and then I've gone over with a darker glaze using liquid, ivory black and some sap green. So we're going to now put the lighter leaves over the top, much bigger, different technique. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it now. So the first place to start, of course, is by putting in some of the leaves that we can see that are right in the depths there. That's not a flat colour. And what I'm going to use is my Series 1 size 2, and I'm going to actually draw these leaves in. Now, the shape of the leaves, let me show you quickly, is a real variety. That might be a bit light. Let's just darken it slightly. Now I've thinned this paint down a bit using just regular thinner, and the leaves are kind of like that. They're just, I don't know what actual type of tree it is, but it has almost like a mapley shape of leaf, and there's lots of them. Really, what we're going to do is draw on, in fact, let's zoom in just so that you can see. Not sure whether you can see that properly. I'm just going to draw on each leaf, just getting them in roughly the position I want them. Adjusting the size a little bit as well as we go. Colours also that I'm using are Windsor yellow. I've got some phthalo green yellow shade here. There is sap green and ivory black in this colour. So the trick is to go over the whole area, or not the whole area, but anywhere where I want to put these more subdued greens in, because as we start to move out to the outer sort of reaches of the tree here, the sunlight catches it and it becomes a lot lighter, so we're going to need to adjust the colour there. But while we're working with this colour, I'm going to exhaust that as I normally would, and then so in all the areas where we've got this colour, and then I'll mix a new colour and we'll go over it and just generally layer up. Just in the size also of the leaves that we can see. I think on average they're probably around about this size, but it does vary slightly. So now we've got those darker tones in there, or I say the darker tones, we've started working on those darker leaves that are in the shadow. We now need to start working with perhaps a slightly darker colour, just on introducing some leaves into this area of sky here. And of course over these areas of tree. Obviously we've got that blocking line and that's much too solid. So we're going to introduce the darks into the light, and then we'll probably introduce some of those lights into the dark as well. So it's a little bit less regular. And we have all different shapes of leaves in there. I've darkened the paint ever so slightly. It's still thinned down to the same extent that it was when we were doing these shades here. And we probably don't want to go quite as dark as that. So I've just added a little bit more yellow. And we're sort of really drawing these areas of leaves in rather than doing an actual blob sort of brush stroke. We're trying to just sketch it in. So now I'm going to start adding some lighter tones within that. I'm going to keep the colour roughly the same, but just lighten it ever so slightly. And I'm going to do that just by adding maybe a little bit more yellow and maybe some more of the phthalo green yellow shade. So still going with the same paint consistency here. So the paint is the same consistency as it was before, doing the darker colours. Nothing's changed there. It's literally just the colour. And I want to make sure that I'm only putting these lighter tones in where they are in the photograph. So, as you can see now, we're really starting to build up on the layers here. We had that first layer, which is the darkest layer of leaves we can see. We're building up now to this layer. There are quite a few layers to do. These are still actually leaves that are in the shadows. We're going to build up on this area before we then move into the real highlighted areas. But it's just a case really of being patient and realizing that it's going to take time. Any photorealistic work does take time, so as long as you're patient and you understand that, then you should be just fine. But if you need to, take a break, have a few hours away from it, or a few days, whatever you need, and then come back to it. There's no rush. So we're building up on that now, and that's starting to look good. I think we still have, it's a little bit too dense, the tree, and I think we need a few more gaps within there, even if they're small like we have here. So all I've done is still using the Series 1 size 1, my rigger brush, and all I'm going to do is now just introduce some little areas of light, different sizes, just within the tree here. So just a random spread. And you can do tiny little dots like that, or you can do slightly larger areas like that. But either way, what that's going to do is make this look a little bit more realistic. Now, as we get to a point where I'm starting to finish off the tree here, I've started it already, but we need to get almost like another block in of this area. And rather than using the smaller rigger brush that we've been doing, some of these areas are actually quite dense. So I'm just going to use a bigger brush. I'm going to use the Series 7 size 8 and just get that almost like a block in again. Okay, now we've done that, we're just going to start adding some of these highlights that we've put here over the top. there we go. That's yet another one. Stupid boy, it's not finished, is it? It's not even half finished. I mean, look, got all this to do. We've just done the tree. It's the tree that's finished. So, well, there we go. That's another tree finished. A little bit different, that one. There are many different ways, obviously, of getting a tree to look realistic. And obviously, this one being right in the foreground requires different technique, as you've seen. Those trees in the background that you're used to seeing me paint, the leaves are painted more en masse because the tree is in the distance. Whereas with this stuff at the foreground, we need to be a little bit more precise, and really, what comes down to the fact that we need to pretty much paint each leaf. It's time consuming, but it's effective, and it gives you that separation between the foreground and the background. So I think it looks pretty good. Hope you enjoyed that lesson. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It does make a difference, and, well, to me at least. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.